What is up, everybody? It is Thursday, January 30th, 2025, after the market close. Interesting day today. I guess I usually say that, but it was an interesting day today on low volume. Markets ran up, and then you probably saw an ugly sell-off on the close with President Trump saying 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and that sank the markets. We'll take a look at the chart. Some big single stock movers as well, reporting earnings. Apple is in a little bit from now. So some big movers and some nice moves as well. We're going to be covering a bunch of cool different ones today. So without further ado, let's share the screen. Nice graphic too, because there are two names that really stood out. Obviously the mega caps, some were monster movers, but two that really moved was IBM and UPS. So we'll take the charts. IBM leaps 13%, new all-time highs. Obviously old company. There's always interesting, nice rotation underneath of these firms that are hitting all-time highs here. They're not only just the financials. You also have new, old tech like IBM. A big move here, up 13%. And UPS down a massive 14% on news that Amazon is going to do a lot more with their shipping in-house, and they're not going to use UPS as much. UPS chart looks horrendous. It looks like a company that's they're a big American freight, staple, but the chart looks ugly, and we'll take a look at it. So those were two big movers today. We'll look at others well. So first, let me screen share the old screen here. Alrighty, so just and also how things closed after yesterday's earnings. So Tesla closed up 2.9. Microsoft, will take a look out, got walloped today, down 6%. That is a big move lower. And other folks that reported, Meta was up 1.5, and Apple, like I said, is in a little bit, so unchanged going into it. And we'll take a look at other names. I already mentioned Tesla up 2.9, Meta up 1.5, and Microsoft down 6. So the intraday chart of the SPY here. Here is your day start, low volume day. We bottomed at 11 a.m. and then pretty choppy trading with a nice ascent. Honestly, pretty impressive towards the afternoon, 2:30. And then an executive order or one of his speeches came out right at 3:30-ish p.m. It took SPY actually from 6:06 all the way down to 6:02. So, a big tariff order like that obviously can shock markets. Of course, you can see the volume here as well. What we did all day and then versus what we just did in that block alone from 3:30 to 4. But we did have a nice rebound. So off that low of 6:02, we actually got above VWAP, which is 6:04, and closed just above it about 6:0460. So as in all 4 out of 4 indices closed up, pretty impressive to say. The NASDAQ closed up 40 bips, even with Microsoft, a behemoth, down 6. The reasons why there was other names, we'll see IBM was a big lift. Other semis reacted well as well. So as I zoom out here for SPY, like I said, all 4 of the 4 major indices, in America, SPY, Dow, Qs, and IBM were all up. Vol contracted and was in. So a nice day. All in all, and you would have thought if you just saw the Microsoft headline, and that's why markets are amazing. You can get tomorrow's headline, and you still would possibly not trade it correctly. So again, like I said, the market to me is not going to take off. I do think we're kind of in this IWM topping in November to me. Also, just doesn't look like the market is getting ready to take off steam. This nice new high in this, the breakout above 610. I just don't think we go to 615 overnight. So I think we actually top, like I said, my target sits around that 613 level in SPY, 610 to 615, but I don't think there's going to be a blow off top by any means. I think we're actually kind of coasting here. And I see, I was just texting a technician earlier today. I think the most likely scenario for the next 2 weeks is a basing right around this 595 to 600 level before we start to ascend higher towards middle to late February. I see a lot of more chopping around this 595 to 601 or so level. And if things get scary, you get pulled down to about 575 or so. And like I said yesterday in the video, those are still the pre-election gaps, and it takes you to the support and the lows that we hit about 2.5 weeks ago. So that you buy those dips. All that being said, all along you buy those dips. Semiconductors we'll take a look at. It is challenged, and when you lose a leader like that, it is going to challenge the overall market group, considering the concentration that we have. So we'll take a look, but that's my call on SPY. Pick your spots. Would rather lean long as well. Not shocked to see strength today. Resilience is really the word that keeps coming to mind. And we do have a user question. I'll take a look at the end. Thanks again, Gaston. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the big movers that happen today? And is there still, is there still juice, excuse me, in, oh, I'm dying, in these trades or not? So first up, IBM, wow, new all-time highs for this group. I'm pretty sure. Let me just do it in max here. Yep, new all-time had in 2012 essentially. But as I go back here, so absolutely a massive breakout here on this earnings report. What can I say? Congrats. It's good to see part of tech not faltering and really having some strength. Obviously, earnings is a major. I would say the target for this to the upside was 230, 235. I really wouldn't have had the breakout above the previous high. So really impressive to see. Phone call. So I wouldn't chase this up here on pullbacks. Maybe you get back to about 227, but there is a line of buyers for this in IBM. You're going to see some strength throughout tech today. Next one was Broadcom, up 4%, 4.5%, call it. This one not new all-time highs. These guys peaked in mid-December. A lot of different semi players are going every which way, so you really have to pay attention to what the firms are. There's individual company risk. I don't love this right here, the Broadcom chart in the short term. I just think this is in distribution mode to about 205 over the next 2 weeks. I think you get this a little bit lower to just about, right where the cursor is. So if you're not really, in depth on price, I do think you get it a touch cheaper, but overall, nice, strong overall trend. Not oversold once this year. Broadcom is definitely one of the stronger names in the semiconductor group. And then you've seen, and we're going to talk a lot about Chinese equities. Baba, a monster day. They've been the real big winner, one of, and we'll look at Baidu as well. Chinese tech overall, if you scooped up this nice rally based on the DeepSeek, innovation. Congrats. Baba continues to go higher today, up 6%. Look at this bullish engulfing candle when it absolutely engulfs the prior day trading. So today's low is lower than yesterday, and a high is higher than yesterday. Absolutely engulfs the entire candle. Usually sees, there could be more follow through in terms of the charts. This is still in accumulation mode, but I mean, above 92, 93 here with the vol expansion is pretty crazy. It seems like you're chasing. It is overbought, but it's been for 2 days. Baidu, this Baba has had a really kind of a crazy year. Then, of course, the stimulus gets announced in September and lifts it to its highs back in October of 118, and now we're about $17 away. I personally wouldn't chase it here. You got to be careful with these Chinese equities. Your 200-day moving average is back here, $85. Getting in somewhere around 85, 88 would be great. I would not chase this right here. This has been a monster move for pretty much the all-world low on January 13th. So we're about 17 days into that cycle. I'm just bullish engulfing, like I said, probably has more follow through tomorrow, but I personally don't want to chase charts like this. And then there's also looks like there's a gap to be filled to 107. So could have a little bit more, but I think it's going to get tired and sub point. All right, for the movers lower today, and there were quite a few. Comcast, you rarely see this. Comcast down 11% today, a massive candle below 52-week lows. These guys had really a hard time starting December 9th. And it's continued to collapse. You can see just more sellers, more oversold. And we actually do not have a bearish divergence. This price has gone to a new low, and the RSI has gone to a new low. More red days ahead for Comcast, in my opinion. And this is like someone said before, I think in a CMC webinar, don't you want to be, for this specific use case, long RSP and equal weight. If you're long equal weight, you're going to have equal weight this Comcast, 0.2%, and also Nvidia, 0.2%, and that would have been your allocation. So days like this, and actually months like this, in terms of risk management, you would have been better off having like those duck paddles go down the water and pick your stocks allocation for you, in my opinion. So this chart looks ugly. To the downside, my target would have been honestly 35, half 36. This is really collapsed based on their earnings this morning. I guess. Things are not looking good. But this chart, absolutely clear sign December 9th, should have got out. And that was with about a $40 move there, $33 here, where it is today. Potentially dead cat bounce into next month gets you to about 37, and that would be your signal to sell it again. But this thing continues to be weak. Speaking of continues to be weak and collapse, United Parcel Service, like I said on that news with the Amazon breakup. I'm not exactly sure when it's scheduled to happen. But yeah, ugly chart, uglier than Comcast. These guys peaked in March, and the FedEx chart, from what I recall, is absolutely different. They're executing, and it's a bit of a different story. This, like I said weeks ago, almost looks like natural gas in that whenever it got to the 200-day moving average or close to it, you sell it. This is like a programmatic sell, and this you actually had 3 chances going into this, and their earnings were this morning as well, and they had discussed that with Amazon. And now this has immediately sank from, yesterday 134 all the way through. It actually got as low as 109 today, and then it closed at 114. So pretty ugly. My lower side target was around 122, so this looks to be a little bit overdone. But again, this absolutely broke through. I wasn't really looking for a collapse below support, and that's what it did here on this ugly earnings report. Not a true new oversold. We actually barely scratched 30. So potentially this does have a little bit of a move up. And then I still think you would short it. I think you either got to 117. If you got a move towards 128, that would be a gift to short this. And then the granddaddy of them all, something every single person owns, Microsoft, also pronounced as Microsoft, down 6% under the 200-day moving average. This has been tumultuous for Microsoft ever since the 52-week lows during on Yen-Mageddon. Look at that, holy bonkers, red, oversold for Microsoft, which is, crazy. Obviously a leader in everything. Come on. I don't think buying Microsoft would be a bad investment. Maybe you don't have the most growth up ahead, but I think it's not a bad horse to tether your wagon to. I don't like the stock though right here. I do see in distribution mode for about another 2 weeks or so. Glad the earnings risk is out of the way. I think this has about another $10 low to about 405 or so. Unfortunately, I think it's going to go all the way back to just about those September lows. And the 200-day moving average is now, it's still going up, albeit very, very slowly. And we'll call it 426 even. So that's going to be, I think, a short-term headwind for Microsoft, and ultimately would love to see it get back to a 435, but not a great looking stock, not oversold, or technically speaking, like it was back in August, but not a great looking chart here. You got to pick your spots in this market. Okay, now we're going to get to some high flyers. Top 3 gainers of the past 5 days, no repeating charts. Holy moly. Twilio up 31% in the past 5 days for an average of 6% a day. Today up 1.5% to new 52-week highs. This thing has been on and off overbought since mid-October when it was trading around $70, and now we're at $145. So, wow. I don't know how many times I can say holy miss moly. But, yeah, Twilio, again, these guys have earnings February 13th. I don't this is crazy. I'm not going to chase this up here, but a clear breakout above 118. Geez. I mean, again, the 21-day exponential moving average on this is 121. So you're paying, $27 above that. A great looking stock, especially since the end of September. And really a rebound because in the summer it was ugly. Late June when it was trading in the 50s. I would pick your spots, and if you could give this, like I said, I don't think the market's going to take off. Pick your spots overall, like we've been saying. If you can, just calm down on this and sit aside potentially for about 2 weeks or so, maybe you get into this about 125. That's the best I could say. This one absolutely high flyer, on fire past 5 days. There's a couple others. Baba, like I said, was the other one. I'll just put it right back up really fast. We already discussed it, but a massive 5 days. It actually catapulted above its 200-day moving average due to these 5 days. Again, just last week, the 23rd, we were talking $85 Baba, and then of course they come up with that PR and everything saying that their AI is better than Meta's and OpenAI and Microsoft and Gemini and everything else. So and a bullish engulfing. So we'll see what happens. Don't want to chase this here. I would say a much better entry point to Baba would be sitting aside 2 weeks or so, and then maybe you get it in around $88, $90, somewhere like that. I'd much more feel comfortable with. I might personally do that. And then another one, we didn't look at this one yet, Baidu. So these Asian internet companies are really having a great week. Baidu up 16% in the past 5 days. Today up 6%. Let me pull this up here. So if you're in any of these Chinese stocks, they're absolutely ripped. These guys have earnings in 2.5 weeks. Again, don't want to chase it here. This is a more interesting chart because these guys are, overall losers. This chart does not look like the others. These guys actually had a 52-week low 2.5 weeks ago. This news kind of saved them. Bullish engulfing as well for Baidu, but more interesting price move because outside of this oopsie almost on this 52-week high that transcended it back in early October with the overbought readings. Ever since that ended in mid-October, this has really been almost like I said, like the old Mac gas. You get to 200-day and you sell it just systematically. And here we are. The 200-day is 91.86. We're $2 above it. It looks a little tired, and to me, this looks like the next pullback is going to happen soon. It's going to take this down to about 86. I still think this will solve. Will prove to be a little bit heavy resistance. So we will see. This is a laggard. Potentially, you could do a pair trade here if you don't want to absolutely chase Baba outright, but you still think it has legs. You could buy Baba and then short a name like this, Baidu, and then you don't get the full exposure if FXI gaps down 4% tomorrow. You still have obviously risk management in place. All right, top 3 losers of the past 5 days. So those are the big winners. Of course, have been losers as well. We will start with VRT. If you're long this one, ouch. If you're short, congrats. Down 24% over the past 5 days. Today it actually was up 4%. These guys coming off hard off their 52-week high 6 days ago of 156. Look at this, though. That's what you like to see. Nice, picture perfect tags of the support. The 200 moving average are about 101 even. The stock hit a low 3 days ago of 99, and then the next to go 98, and now nicely higher to 115. This looks interesting. There's going to be more volatility. I would, if you get in closer to 105, it's really trying to embrace that volatility. It looks like a better level. Medium term, I think this could go to 127 though. Before it hits some resistance. So it's literally in the midway point of those levels. It never got oversold, never really closed or never did close below its 200-day during this sell-off. Only periods overbought. This is a growth electrical equipment company. I believe it has ties with Nancy Pelosi as well. I think it's along with her portfolio and her, all-world portfolio. But yeah, this looks good. I would still maybe step aside for about a week or so, see if you get around 105, and this could be a very nice trade. Nvidia down 16% over the past 5 days, absolutely getting slaughtered for a loss of almost 3% or so a day. Today up about 77 bips. These guys peaked January 7th, right after the beginning of the new year at 153. So, again, the 200-day moving average being a battleground of it's 122 for Nvidia. Right here, it's at 123. Like I said, these guys are off cycle. They will report earnings on February 26th is where my calendar is here. If you get in around, 120, 122, like basically anywhere around here, I think the risk will be worth it. 118, 120, 122. Your stock, it may not do a ton, but I do think it's worth it to give a superstar the benefit of the doubt. Not one RSI under 30 reading. These are not, folks clamoring for the exits yet on this. And I think rallies on this would get you to 135 pretty easily. So, like I said, 10 up, 10 down, essentially. So we are at 125. Yeah, $10 up, I think, is where your target is, where it hits its head on the ceiling. And then below, if you can get it around 115, that's not going to happen. So I like your risk to reward. Like I said, I think it goes about $5 down and then about 10 or 11, $12 up. And then another one, of course, they're discounting super microcomputers. This one down just a hair less than Nvidia, down 14% over the past 5 days, up 2.5% today. Totally different chart, absolute loser. And this one kind of happened in phases. You could have done this 2 different ways to exit this trade. Back in August, honestly, right on these earnings, you had the first oversold reading, and it closed over under the 200-day moving average, but it was still rising, and you say you want to give it the benefit of the doubt to a superstar, then truly there would be no reason to stay in this trade past this October period. Once it got new oversold levels here and the new 52-week lows mid-November and the 200-day moving average start to roll over, I would not be in this. I know folks were, talking, especially when SMH was, you have to pick your spots. Folks were saying, should I get in a name like this? And I personally don't think so. And I still don't. I think this heads to about $26 over the next 1 to 2 weeks. I don't think the selling is done in this. Yeah, I think this has about another potentially up to 10% to go to the downside. Whew. All right, top three trades of the past 5 days. If you were long Twilio, congrats, up 31%, absolutely crushing it. One of the best longs of the entire week. Number two, short VRT, down 24%. Congrats. That one's looking ripe soon, maybe in another week or so. And then another one, long Baba, looks to be the best of all the Asian names off the deep seek route, up 19%. So congrats if you had that. Next, okay, we have a user question. Hey, John, can you see Uber long and where to enter? Thank you. All right, let's take a look-see. I haven't looked at this one in a little bit. Let's take a look at the chart. So I just saw that getting to Kembe here, essentially not really making any real traction with the 200-day since, essentially Thanksgiving. So first of all, just before I even look at that, so it was flat today, down 0.25%. These guys have earnings Tuesday night. So be on the lookout for that. So you do have earnings risk if you do, enter long. I still, just looking at the chart, this looks like, whoops, let me move that box. This looks like distribution mode, down to about 61 or so over the next 2 weeks. Obviously, earnings will have something to say in that. So can you see Uber long and where to enter? I'm not a fan. I wouldn't enter a long in the chart like this. Recently, recent reading, oversold, 200-day moving average that's going lower. I know these guys do look like a group of names that peaked in October. So I'm not a fan. If you had to get in somewhere, I mean, if you're like, you have to buy this, I don't even like bargain shopping on the 52-week low list. That would be $55. So I would just stay away. And I think Lyft is bad as well. There's other, transports that are probably better than this. All righty. Thanks for that. We will be back tomorrow with an end of week recap, and let's see what tomorrow brings. Peace, y'all.